I have kids home for summer and we have a pool in our backyard, and that means a whole lot of this, all of my laundry all over the patio. And so this is a problem I'm going to solve for summertime with a fun project. I'm going to create a hanging system for our backyard using a little bit of lumber purchased at the hardware store. I purchased 2 fence pickets that are roughly 6 feet tall, and then I purchased 2 4x4 posts. I started out by cutting each fence picket into 6 pieces. I cut them very crudely into these arrow shapes. I want them to look nice and rough and rustic. Each fence picket gave me 6 pieces that are roughly 2 feet long. Once they were cut, I gave them a sanding using my Surf Prep sander to make them ready to accept the paint. I didn't use a primer or anything. I just went ahead and gave these a coat of paint. I'm using Daydream Apothecary paint because of the nice bright colors will be a perfect complement to my outdoor decor. These are some of the fun bright colors I chose. I gave each piece of my wood 2 coats of paint and let them dry. I wanted to add lettering to each one of my arrows, and I initially started out by hand painting them, and it was fun and whimsical, but I wanted them to look a little bit more refined and finished. So I came back and I painted over my hand painted lettering, and I'm going to cut some stencils using my Silhouette vinyl cutter just to make these look a little more clean. You may have figured it out, but what I'm making these look like is a signpost. I want this to look directional, like signs that are pointing to every direction, and we'll use these to hang wet clothes and towels on throughout the summer. So once I'm finished painting over all of my old lettering, let's go ahead and get my new lettering put on. I chose a few of my favorite local California waterways, and then I printed out the names of each one and how close they are from our home using my Silhouette vinyl cutter. Once I had all my vinyl lettering cut out, I used a piece of clear contact paper as my transfer paper, and I transferred these letters over onto the wood itself. I'm going to use these as stencils, and I'm going to create the lettering with this. I rubbed the stencils on using a wood transfer tool, and then I'm going to peel back my clear contact paper, and this is just going to leave my stencil on the board. When I'm pulling away the clear contact paper, I use a sort of rolling motion to just peel back that contact paper so that I leave the stencil behind without pulling it off. I'm going to use the same method to apply the lettering for the distance that they are from our home. This is a really fun way to personalize some decor, so these will be personal to our home. This would be a really cute thing to do at a vacation home or a lake home that you could put out for your guests to use, and it would be really personal to that space. When I hang these boards on the post, I'm going to have them pointing in the direction of each of these waterways. To prepare my post, I also gave that the same sanding and then 2 coats of my paint. I used about 2 feet of gravel in a planter, and I put the post down to the base of the planter and then shoveled in the gravel around it. This made my post nice and stable. Once my lettering is all complete, I'll be able to come back and screw these into that post. Before I add paint to my lettering, I want to make sure these stencils come out nice and crisp and clean, so I added a little bit of clear coat around the edges. Once that's dry, I can come back and dab on my black paint into my stencil, and this is going to give it nice, clean, crisp lines so that my stencils don't have any bleed through with that clear coat. Whatever does bleed through under my lettering will bleed through in the clear, and so it'll make nice, clean, crisp lines with my paint. I chose black for my lettering so it will stand out against the bright fun colors of the signpost. I did end up feeling like I wanted 2 coats of paint for my lettering, so I gave them 2 coats because I wanted it to be nice and dark and rich and make sure I covered up all of that background color. Now some of these stencils I cut pretty close to the edges, so I just need to be careful when I'm getting close to the edge of the stencil that I don't get it onto the painted portion. Any place that I did, I just came back and was able to touch those up with my base color. This was also just an excuse for me to come out and paint by my pool, so I did bring all of my supplies out, and I painted these while sitting poolside. It was kind of a nice, relaxing day. With my paint still wet, I went ahead and pulled the stencil off, but I'm not going to pull the centers out of the letters. I'm going to come back and do that later. And then once my lettering is all dry, I can come over and give these a clear coat. I can either brush it on with a sponge, or for the rest, I did go ahead and lay them out and just go ahead and spray my clear coat on. For the clear coat, I'm using Daydream Apothecary Dream Coat, which does have UV resistance, so these will hold up nicely outside. Once my clear coat was nice and dry, I attached some hooks that I purchased off of Amazon, and then I screwed my boards into my post using some wood screws. This project is complete. It is super functional. We've been using it already and it's getting tons of use. It adds a lot to my outdoor decor and it's really personal to our family. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, you can find more Brush by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube, and on my website at brushbybrandy.com. You can find links for everything I use in the description for this post, and I hope you'll click that subscribe button.